Hi guys, welcome to an episode of Morgan's Zen Chicago. We're here with Morgan. She's outside on the porch. I wanted to give a little video today and apologize for our absence. We've been a little crazy with the change in the season. Now that we're in quarantine, we have more time to do things. So here we are today. So this is the perfect time, since we have all this time at home, to kind of think about what we talked about in the first season with Morgan's Den, talking about spiritual awareness, spiritual awakening, finding your deities, how you can apply different magics and realize that magic's all around us in our lives. But today we're going to do a special gardening episode of Morgan's Den Chicago. We recently posted about doing pallet garden boxes. So I've been making a couple, and today I thought I'd give you a little tutorial of how to build your own pallet box. So over here we went ahead and selected our own pallets already. When you're selecting pallets, you want to make sure that you choose pallets that don't have any stains on them, are all natural wood. Most cases, if you find pallets that don't have any type of stamps or markings on them, they're usually all natural wood, recycled. So just make sure there's no stains, especially if you're going to be using them for growing vegetables. You want to make sure that you don't get poison because of something that might have spilled on them. So these ones are all safe. If you do happen to come across pallets that have a stamp on them, this one is okay. This is telling you the dimensions and how many was packaged at once. However, if you see a stamp that says MB, MB stands for mityl methylene or something along that line. Anyways, those boards are poison because they're treated with chemicals, so you don't want to use those. So you want to stay away from any boards or any type of pallets that say MB on them. M as in Mary, B as in boy. All right, so these pallets are safe. So we went ahead and turned one over already, and what we do is we go ahead and we loosen the boards. We kind of look at how we want to measure them, which one's going to be at the top, which one's going to be at the bottom, and we kind of just play on that line, and then we go ahead, hit the middle pallet with your hammer, which I have here, my big trusty hammer, just to loosen it a little bit in the center for the boards on the bottom here. We also have our pry bar that's going to help us out to get the boards off. And then we have a little container here to put the nails in so we don't lose them, because we're going to use every single piece of this pallet, and of course we have our gloves on, and of course we have our face mask gear available as well, to make sure we're not breathing any dust or anything along that line. Right, Morgan? You gotta stay healthy and stay wise and smart about how we're doing these, guys. And if you live in a space where you have plenty of space like I do to do it on the patio, that's great, or do it in an alley or a parking lot where you're not too disruptive, that's even better. Today I'm just going to use my neighbor's porch area here. So we turn the pallet over. We then start to pry the boards up with either a hammer. You can pry it here. Sometimes in prying, you'll notice that the board starts to crack or something along that line. If that happens, stop pulling where you are, switch to the other side or switch further down. Kind of do them in sequence so you're not breaking your boards. If you do break your boards, it's okay. We can just reuse them in a later spot on the pallet box when we're finished. So once we get our boards arranged, removed and arranged, so what's going to happen here is that when we stand up our pallet box, we'll have our bottom here, which will then take an extra board from here and make it so it's 2 layers, so we'll have 2 here. And then we'll have a board here in the center, and then we'll have one on top as our main opening. And as you can see, these pallets are opened all the way through. So the way we're going to close those up, once we arrange our boards to where we want them, we're then going to reuse the nails that we pulled out by just lining them up with the holes again, hammering them back in with our big trusty hammer. And what helps a lot too with putting the nails back in, especially with rearranging the boards with these wood being so hard is if you have a drill available with drill bits, put your boards where you want them, drill your hole first, and then put your nails in, and that will actually save you a lot of hassling, save you a lot of hammering that won't need to be needed. So once you get these boards in place, get the nails in, and then even if you wanted to, honestly, if you wanted to just leave it here, as long as this middle board lines up with the back board here pretty similar, you can easily go ahead and purchase yourself some wire mesh like I have here, and use a staple gun and just kind of staple them in, and then tap the staples down with your hammer when you're finished. And so as you can see here, this is the bottom of the pallet. So this is the top, how it would look prior. We turn it over. When I realigned my boards, I had an extra board left over, so I made that the base for my pallet box. Here we went ahead and put the wire mesh in, staple gunned it down, and then what we're going to do with this is that we'll turn it back over when we're finished. We'll then put a layer of either a coconut husk. Hi, it's Morgan. Say hi, Morgan. All right, so then we'll either go ahead and put, once we get that wire mesh in, stapled in, I just use your basic staple gun, T50 staples. This is the wire meshing I'm talking about. It's just, this one's a half inch. It's just simple pet cage mesh. So what I went ahead and done is I went ahead and with my metal cutting tool here, wire cutting professional grade, if you don't have this, you can very simply use something that's a little bit not as heavy duty, but I went ahead and measured out exactly how much space I needed. It was 4.5 inches. So I took my tape measure, measured it out from the end of this here. I then went through with my cutting utensil, and then I cut all of it off until I came off with the perfect amount. And now I just have the perfect size roll that I can easily roll across the bottom and staple gun it into place and then cut it off again where I need it. When cutting the wire though, do be cautious. There's this circular wire that keeps it tight around. That will snap, so just be conscientious, okay folks? So once their wire is in, then we then go ahead and here I have a little bit of coconut husk. You can layer this in the bottom so your dirt doesn't fall through, or I have a little bit of weed bedding net here. What I would recommend is measure it. We did 4.5 inches. 4.5 times 2 is 9, so do 9 inches across, and I believe the measurement was 12, so 9.5 by 12, and then you just fold it in half, layer it in the bottom, and then either the netting, the white weed netting, or the coconut husk. So then once we get this in the bottom, so that our dirt is not falling through the holes. Even though this is pretty small holes on this one's a 1/4 inch wire mesh. I switched over to a 1/2 inch. Using the coconut husk and or the weed mesh on the bottom will keep the dirt from going out. I recommend using a little bit of coconut husk because it'll also help with the watering and keep the water, your plants watered and moist on the roots, but not overwatered so they're dying from drowning. And so then once we get that set, there's Morgan again. Thank you, Morgan. We went ahead and have a friend of ours purchase a big bag, of potting mix Miracle Grow. I recommend getting something along this line. You don't want to get anything that has any type of dangerous fertilizers to it. You want to stick with something that you know. Miracle Grow works really well with my plants. I love all of them, and they're a great company. Sometimes a little bit more eco-friendly options are out there. Those are always good too. So once you get those in, you can go ahead and plant your plants in them. Let me go ahead and flip this over for you. Alright guys, so once this is set, we have our coconut husk in the bottom, and then we have our weed mesh and or our coconut mesh, and then we have our dirt and our plants. People are going to say, well, this doesn't seem like it's going to stick to anything. So here we have our railings. what I recommend is getting a couple bricks for the bottom here for it to sit on. It sits on the bricks, and then what I'm gonna do is when I finish this, is go ahead and drill a hole right about here, and that hole will allow me to zip tie or tie it with something so that we don't have this issue of it being unstable or falling over. So always keep that in mind, that if you're going to build one of these, make sure you have it secured or secure with some kind of footing, either way. So, hi guys, welcome back. Sorry about the quivering voice there at the end of the first video. I was getting a little parched. See, Morgan, this is how Morgan asks for treats. She just likes to stay on the cupboard doors until she gets something. But a couple of things I wanted to address regarding the previous video with the boards. We talked about what happens if they end up cracking or splitting as you're prying them off. What we'll do with them as you can see here, this board had split at some point when we were prying it off. So we just very simply put another nail in here. We can also go ahead and either glue it and or place a staple nail here, or very simply just staple it with your staple gun. That's fine also, it's not a big deal. As you can see here also, another spot where the board started to crack when I was pulling it off. Again, when that happens, stop pulling where you are pulling from, move to a different section, and then continue to ease the board off, and hopefully you won't have any cracking. And if you do, it's okay, we can easily fix it. Mind you, these are meant to be outside, so it's not going to matter that much. As we talked about potting them, we talked about the mesh in the bottom. Now, as you can see here, this tends to be a little bit opening on the bottom here also. If you're concerned about this happening and dirt falling through or what have not, you can very easily put another layer of the wire mesh across here if you wanted to, just along the side here, or a couple other good options that I discovered as well is to either probably get a small thing of hay. You can put hay down there. You can put wool down there if you have wool. Also, if you were concerned, you can also put a little bit of the coconut husk and or the weed mesh, staple it down there also so that it keeps the dirt in. In this case, that opening is only maybe not even a ½ inch, so I'm not too concerned about it. But if you're concerned about it, you can go ahead and, like I said, you can get something like this also. This is just a fiber mesh that you can then staple across the bottom if you want to go a little bit more organic. The reason why I chose the cage wire for the bottoming is just to ensure that they're not going to fall through and that plants will stay safe and secure. Now, we talked about a couple other things as far as tying it to the railing. This is just a simple shoestring size rope. You can, like I said before, you're going to want to you want to make sure, like I said, since this is the bottom, you're just very simply, this is going to be the back. So with the back, you're just going to want to put a little hole close to where you're going to put your rope, and then you'll tie that to the railing and or bar that you have in place. That will keep it from falling over or moving from the wind. Also, we talked about you want to make sure that you put some type of footing on the bottom so that it's not just resting on the ground. The footing will also help a little bit with the drainage, so that would be nice also. Let's see here. Also, we talked, if you can see, some of these boards, the boards, they go exactly right up to the main board here. And then these boards are not cut exactly. I chose not to cut mine. I kind of like the different dimensions of it. It gives it more of a kind of a cool rustic look, in my opinion. You can choose whichever side you want to be the front, whichever side you want to be the back, and then just drill your hole in accordance to which side is going to tie to the railing and or put in place. Also, I know some people have actually gone through and put it against a wall and then go inside the barn or something and drill a screw into it from behind. That also will keep it in place from falling over. So yeah. So there's a couple ideas, guys. As you see, Morgan's out here enjoying the sun. If you do choose that you want to go ahead and cut these, you can just use a basic handsaw like I have here. Nothing too crazy. It's perfect for cutting boards, or get an electric saw. An electric saw too will cut these off for you pretty easily if you don't want to have them different, or if you want to have it matching, or if you have a limited space and you don't have that extra couple inches on both sides. It's always a good idea to cut those off, and that will just fit your space a little bit easier for you also. In this case, again, I'm choosing not to cut mine, so that way it just looks a little more fuller. Plus, also, if you choose to make this the front, with your boards, the bigger boards along the back, it makes it easier also for tying them to railings. Also, if you wanted to, you could even put little hooks on the side here and hang your gardening tools there, and or gloves when you're not using them. So again, for more great ideas for gardening, especially in tight spaces like myself. I mean, this is all the space I get. So my railings are going to be upstairs on the top floor where I get more sunlight, and that's going to help my plants a lot more. Spoke to my neighbor upstairs. She's more than willing to do it, so that's awesome. As you can see, my other flowers are coming in nicely. These are going to be morning glories, poppies, and aster carnations, and those are all in these pots here. So much love. And Morgan, she says, I wasn't downstairs, Dad. I swear to God, I was up here the whole time. You know you're better. All right, guys. Well, good luck on your beds. Hi, guys. This is going to be the third and final video for the pallet box tutorial. So as you can see, as we talked about before, we went ahead and we finished it up. We got a couple of pieces of wood cut for this to sit on top of, and we just drilled those right into the bottom. We went ahead and finished the wiring along the bottom here, and then we went ahead and put our mesh, our weed net down here so our soil doesn't fall through and it will stay in there. And then we also went ahead and drilled our holes so we could tie it to the railing, so there's no fear of it falling over or knocking your plants out. As you can see, I did a hole on the middle here and a hole on the middle bottom here as well. So we have our feet in. As you can see too, this board was cracked before. I did go ahead and put a couple staples in there just to kind of secure it a little bit more. And then that is essentially our recycled wood pallet garden box, 3-tier. Super simple to make. It only took a couple hours. All the materials, including the dirt, came to maybe a total of, I would say, maybe $50, and I'm making about 5 of them. So good luck to you guys on your pallet boxes. Again, make sure you secure them so they're not falling over. A great spot here on the side to just put your gloves or what have not, or your tools to hang. Hi Gia, thanks for watching. Everyone, thank you for watching my videos. So this was a great tutorial, guys. I wish you a lot of luck on your garden beds when you make them. I could probably make some for you guys by request if you're interested. Just go ahead and leave a comment in the bottom and or message me directly. So there's Morgan. For more great ideas on gardening and or tips, check out Epic Gardening on YouTube. The gentleman that runs that program is awesome. He has a really great book called Urban Gardening. So make sure to check us out, guys. And we love you all. Stay safe, stay strong. Take care. Bye-bye.